Well, hey, and welcome to another episode of Tarp-life with Tara. Here we are, if you take a little look around. We are at the Glenmoran campground here in Buena Vista, lovely Buena Vista, Virginia. And we have another episode of Tarp-life with Tara. Okay, so over here, my friend Aaron, I'll let him introduce himself, has this amazing bus. Let's look at the patina on the outside of this before we go in there, because really beautiful work. I don't know if he had this faux finished or not. We'll ask him in a minute, but I just love the look on this paint job. And it looks like it's got, are these your plants here? So it's got a lovely traveling garden. And we'll just come right on in. Come on in, everybody. All right. So, I'll get him in a minute. All right, so you can introduce us to yourself here.
Hello, my name is Olwell. I'm a resident and what did I say?
Musician and flute builder.
Flute builder from Nelson County, Virginia.
World famous wooden flutes, I believe. And
yep.
What are those called, or how would someone find you if they Googled that?
Olwell flutes.
Olwell flutes.
We're purposefully hard to find. We actually do have a website for the first time in 20 years now.
Olwell is spelled
Olwell.
Right, so just that'll help you. Anyway, back to the beautiful wonders that you've done with your home here. So I guess, do you want to just walk us through? I mean, we obviously noticed that you've got some lovely furniture you've put together with, it looks like piano legs.
Well,
You've
I guess I'll start with the original idea, which for some reason I just got fixated on the notion of getting a short bus and putting a piano on it 15, 20 years ago. And I don't actually play piano. I'm trying to learn sort of in gradual stages. But
it's a funny thing to invest into your small house.
For sure.
Here. Mm-hmm.
But for some reason I just thought that it seemed like a really great idea that needed to happen. And so for the last 5 and some years, I've been partially living out of this, mostly sleeping in it for most of the time, but not living in it throughout my day.
So when you wake up, sometimes you leave the bus.
Yes,
that's
exactly.
a good idea.
And I also use it as a workshop to make the flutes that I was mentioning.
So to get to the nuts and bolts of people, because we do like to inspire folks at home to make other things with things. And this is a random kitten. I don't know, it just happens to be here. So you got the piano, how is it secured in there so nothing will move?
So a cool thing about school buses, I don't know if they all have this, probably something comparable, is that what the seats are originally attached to is there's a little metal lip that's part of the frame that comes out about a foot up. So when I removed all of the seats, I started fastening various articles of the furniture and such to that. So it has holes already going. Yeah, had bolt holes for the seats. So there's a ratchet strap.
Can you come get a view here? We got straps in there.
The two questions that everyone wants to know about the piano are A, is it tied down, and B, does it go out of tune?
Right.
And so as you can see, it is tied down. And it doesn't go as out of tune as you would think for a piano. On a bus, it doesn't have incredibly robust suspension. The climate changes throw it out a little bit more.
Right, so you're going from East Coast to West Coast.
But it does need probably more frequent tuning than your average piano in a more climate stable home.
Right.
So I would recommend, if anyone is considering constructing a piano bus, get familiar with how to tune a piano. And you probably learned that there's a very elaborate process that's the traditional way you do it, where you just use your ears and one tuning fork. I don't do that. I use an electronic tuner.
You
can get it pretty close.
We can use modern technology. It's there for us to use. Now, what is this area here?
So this is my workbench area, and also a lockbox, so I can secure valuables when I leave the bus.
And you actually can use this bus also as a mobile workshop to build flutes.
Exactly. Yeah, I'll just show you what we're talking about here, since probably
Right. So anything, when you make all of your own stuff, there's sometimes a certain knack to how you gotta lean it to the left or the right.
These are the the type of flutes that are now most commonly associated with Irish music, but it's a little bit of a misnomer to call them an Irish flute because the only thing that really makes them Irish is Irish people adopted them into the music. But it's the style of flute that was made and played in classical music in the 19th century that predated the modern bone system flute that you might be more familiar with.
So that's an Olwell flute.
Yep.
So we got that demoed. That's good. So you can do your workshop stuff. Now, right, is that a clogging board of me in there?
Yep.
So I have your emergency
board.
I have an emergency clogging board in my camper. I know you never know when you're gonna need a clogging board, and especially if you tend to be camping out a lot and have a lot of grass, it's hard to clog in the grass
really
and get
is.
hurt.
Yeah.
So over here, it looks like you've secured together what becomes a nice piece of furniture.
Yeah. I've sort of built this in stages. I put the table, and this is more storage here for food and stuff. Built that a few years ago, and then I just added some drawers, and this a month ago or so, because I was lacking in storage space. I was always ending up with clutter of milk crates and such holding all my food and stuff.
Right.
So this is a big improvement now.
And this is also a stovetop.
It's a stovetop. I got a little propane cylinder here going through the table. I just made a little brass rod that goes down, locks the drawers here in place.
Just the windows themselves give me like a flashback to
Yeah,
elementary school
totally.
or something, you know. I love it.
Yeah.
So any other cool little innovations you want to tell us about here on the rig? I mean, it's got so much room, it's got space,
it's really I think the perfect balance for me right now for these purposes of space and maneuverability, because the idea of driving a full-size bus into a city and backing it into a backyard parking spot, which is what I've done in New Orleans when I've taken it down there to hang out for a couple months at a time. I don't think I could do that with a 70-foot school bus. So,
no, it's perfect.
Yeah.
And again, it's big enough that if it's raining or if you're someplace you could have a jam inside here.
Yeah.
You can live, you can cook, you have water. So you just pretty much have to go outside for showers or baths, but there's usually a place to do that. So yeah, and what year is this bus actually?
It's 92, which I liked when I got it, because I realized that probably would have been about the vintage of bus that I rode to school. I went to high school from 96 to 99, so they probably had buses that were just a few years old, I'm guessing, at that point.
And then there are, we have pulled it open so we get nice light in here.
Yep.
But you have curtains, so you can keep the whole thing curtained, and you have a nice insulated thing you can put on the front there so that the sun doesn't get in here and get it all hot. And then you opened up, was this for wheelchair area?
Yeah, exactly. So most of the short buses here are equipped originally with wheelchair lifts. And that was already removed, thankfully. I've heard that they can be very difficult to remove and dangerous because there's just a few bolts and then they fly out of the bus once they're loose. So I didn't have to do that, but I really love this feature because it just opens up the space so much more. And when you have 10 people jamming on here, it heats up really quick.
Yeah.
So the airflow makes all the difference.
Smells better.
Yeah.
Too. And then, of course, now if you're doing this stuff at home, things like this, you want to anchor them down before you start driving down the highway.
Yeah, exactly.
We all learn that sometimes the hard way, right? About anchoring our stuff down. I know I've done that with my mobile life.
Now, one other thing that didn't occur to me when I was forming this plan until I got the bus was just how good the acoustics are on a bus. They are amazing. It's kind of my favorite place to jam.
Yeah. It gives you a little wetness, just a little bit of reverb, a little sustain.
I think the sort of, it's sort of like a cathedral ceiling, so you get the complexity
for our height, it's
of
great, but if you had something really tall, they
exactly,
just want to sit down
if you're over 5'11" or 6 feet tall, you're probably going to have to do what they I guess they call it roof raising, or they basically cut the entire top and then
raise it up.
Add metal and I am glad that I am not more than 5'10".
We're properly sized. We fit in here. Anyway, well, I think that's great, and that's another episode with Aaron Olwell and Tara Linhart here, and Tarp-life with Tara. Yay! And thank you to that random gray kitten that seems to live around here that offered to come and join us. Yeah.
Thanks, y'all.
Yeah. Well, that's the first time you've been hitting the GoPro, so that's like, he's confident.